You're being chased by something you can't see. You don't know where you are. The ground keeps shifting under your feet. Your legs won't move the way you need them to. And right before it reaches you, you wake up. Heart going, sheets damp, room dark. And within 30 seconds, the whole thing's already dissolving. You lie there for a moment, trying to hold on to it. Then you let it go, roll over, and write it off as nothing. But here's what actually happened while you were asleep. Your brain wasn't producing noise. It wasn't replaying your day. It was running one of the most purposeful processes it ever runs. And you dismissed it before your feet hit the floor. Most people assume dreams are just what a sleeping brain looks like from the inside. Random images, scattered thoughts, meaningless static. Scientists believed roughly the same thing for most of the 20th century. Then they started actually measuring what happened inside a dreaming brain. And what they found, nobody saw coming. For most of recorded history, humans treated dreams as messages from somewhere outside themselves. The ancient Egyptians built entire temples for dream incubation. Priests would sleep on sacred ground, waiting for gods to speak through their visions. The Greeks did the same. Roman generals recorded their dreams and brought them to the Senate as intelligence before military campaigns. Across every early civilization, on every continent, the assumption was identical. Dreams come from outside you. They are delivered to you. They mean something beyond yourself. Then Sigmund Freud arrived and moved the source inward. Dreams were the road to the unconscious, he said. Suppressed desires, hidden fears, the content your waking mind refused to face, leaking out while your defenses were down. His framework dominated the entire 20th century. It shaped psychiatry, literature, and the way people talked about their inner lives for generations. Both frameworks agreed on one thing. Dreams were about the past, things that had happened to you, things you wanted, things you feared. Modern neuroscience has taken all of it apart. In 2009, neuroscientist Matthew Walker and his team at UC Berkeley began publishing findings that changed how science understood the dreaming brain. Walker had been tracking brain activity during REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreaming occurs. What he was seeing in the data didn't match any theory anyone had built. During REM sleep, the brain does not go quiet. Specific regions become more active than they are during waking life. The amygdala, the brain's emotional core, fires at full intensity. The prefrontal cortex, which handles rational thinking and emotional control, goes largely dark. And one specific neurochemical, norepinephrine, the chemical most tied to stress and anxiety, drops to the lowest point it reaches in the entire day. Walker called what happens in this state overnight therapy. Here's what he meant. Every emotional experience you have leaves two things behind in your brain: the memory of what happened and the emotional charge attached to it, the event and the feeling. They are stored together. When something painful happens, the memory forms, and so does the distress wired into it. During REM sleep, Walker's research showed the brain replays emotional memories, especially the difficult ones, but it does this in an environment completely stripped of stress. The amygdala processes the experience again. The norepinephrine is gone, and across multiple REM cycles through the night, the emotional charge attached to the memory is slowly reduced while the memory itself stays intact. Walker tested this directly. Participants were shown disturbing images twice, once in the morning and once 12 hours later. One group stayed awake between viewings. The other slept. The group that slept showed dramatically lower emotional reaction to the same images the second time. The group that stayed awake showed no change at all. Sleep was not rest. It was processing, and the vehicle for that processing was dreaming. This is why people who are woken repeatedly during REM sleep, even when their total hours of sleep stay the same, show significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. It is not the sleep they are losing, it is the therapy, but that is only half of what is happening. In 2000, researcher Robert Stickgold at Harvard Medical School ran a study that has been replicated more times than almost anything else in sleep science. He took people who had never played Tetris and had them spend hours learning the game. That night, he woke them repeatedly during the early stage of sleep and asked what they were experiencing. More than 60% of them reported seeing falling Tetris blocks, not thinking about the game room, not dreaming about the experience of playing the game, just the blocks. The core visual pattern their brain had been trying to learn, replaying on its own with no instruction and no intention. The sleeping brain was doing something deliberate. It was isolating the structure of a new skill, stripping away all the surrounding context and replaying it in a compressed form to lock it into long-term memory. The brain was not remembering the experience of learning Tetris. It was practicing the skill itself, in the dark, while the person who owned it was unconscious. This has since been shown with language learning, motor skills, musical training, and mathematics. Students who sleep after studying consistently outperform students who stay awake and keep studying, not because sleep is restful, because the sleeping brain keeps working on the material after the student has stopped. Your dreams are not a replay of your day. They are an active rehearsal of what your brain is trying to make permanent. And here is the part almost nobody talks about. Researchers studying dream content across thousands of recorded dreams noticed something that did not fit either theory. The most common dreams humans report across cultures, across centuries, across every group ever studied are not replays of things that happened. They are simulations of things that have not. Being chased by something you can't see, showing up to an exam you didn't prepare for, standing in front of people with nothing to say, falling with no ground below you. These are the most universal human dreams ever recorded, and none of them are memories. In 2000, Finnish neuroscientist Antti Revonsuo put forward what he called the threat simulation theory of dreaming. His argument was direct and uncomfortable. Dreams exist as a rehearsal system. The brain uses the hours of sleep to run simulations of threatening scenarios, social failures, physical dangers, high-stakes situations it has never actually faced, so that if those situations ever arrive in waking life, the brain already has a response partially built. The dream where something is hunting you is not your mind leaking fear, it is your mind practicing survival. The dream where you fail in front of people is not anxiety escaping while you sleep, it is your brain running a rehearsal of one of the worst things that could happen to you, so that if it ever does, something in you has already been there. Your sleeping brain is a flight simulator. It runs the crash specifically because you cannot afford to face it for the first time while you're in the air. Revonsuo's theory has since been supported by studies showing that people who have experienced real trauma dream about threatening scenarios at far higher rates than people who have not. That children's dreams contain significantly more predator and threat content than adult dreams, and that across hunter-gatherer populations studied by anthropologists, threat simulation dreams appear at rates that track directly with the real dangers those populations actually face. The brain does not waste a night. Your brain was quietly pulling apart the emotional weight from things that hurt you this week, keeping the memory, reducing the pain. It was replaying the skills and patterns you have been trying to build, locking them in without your involvement. And it was running scenarios you have never lived through, building responses to threats that may never come or may come tomorrow. The content felt random because you were watching a process that does not need you to understand it to work. The dreaming brain is not sending you messages to decode over breakfast. It is running maintenance on the most complex thing that has ever existed, and it has been doing this every single night of your life without once asking for your permission. The priests sleeping on temple floors waiting for gods to speak through their dreams were not entirely wrong. Something was speaking, it just wasn't coming from outside. It was the most capable version of themselves running quietly in the dark, doing the work that daylight never leaves room for. You've had that dream 100 times. Now you know what it was doing.